right? Time is winding down, the ticker is off, one more week, until summer. And I know for some of you, the word summer brings about happy feelings. And for a lot of you, the word summer brings out stress and anxiety. Maybe the desire to want to cry a little bit, okay? But that's okay, we're a support group, we're all here for each other. And so, subhanAllah, the first thing I want to just reflect on, excuse me, how quickly this year flew by. And I feel like we say that at the end of every year, but it's truly something that is it's something to reflect on, is how quickly time is flying. Like, I know there are some of you that when I first met you, your child was in like kindergarten, right? And now they're literally in middle school or high school. And just to think that the time is flying by so quickly, subhanAllah. And so before we start any talk, I always like to kind of start from the beginning. Because when we start from the beginning, we understand, we got to understand where we're going. Because sometimes people just want tips. They're like, tell me what to do with my kids. Tell me how to keep them quiet. And just tell me what to do. We want quick fixes. But we always have to start from the root, from the essence, right? And so I like to start most of my sessions by reminding us of the reality of this life. And that is that we are currently living in a time zone, in a time frame called, what is it called? And there are things about dunya that we all know, but it's very important for us to remind ourselves about these things on a regular basis. Because when we remind ourselves of the things about dunya, its characteristics, it helps us live this life in a more structured and intentional way. So the first thing about dunya, and again, none of this is new information, is dunya temporary or permanent? It's temporary. This is not any new information. Something is temporary, right? So whenever we are given something that is temporary versus something that is permanent, how do we treat the thing that is temporary? We don't give it as much value or as much attention. We do with it what we need to do, but in our minds, this is going to go. So I'm not going to put all of my effort, all of my everything in this temporary thing, okay? Number two thing that we need to know about dunya. When are we going to leave it?
We didn't know.
We don't know. That's a very important fact. Right, this Tarbiyah session, I mean, all Tarbiyah sessions except mine, there's usually an end time, right? With me, it's open-ending. I don't know, but typically you know when something ends, and there's an end time, okay? And there's no shock. But that's something about this dunya that we have to constantly remind ourselves, is that it is not, there is no designated end time. All of us grow up with this idea in the back of our minds that we're going to be here like till our 60s, till our 70s. We kind of envision ourselves that we're going to be here until we're older. And a lot of us, especially parents, expect that you will go before your own children. But we know that that's not always the case. And that's a hard thing to think about. But these are all realities. These are all realities that we have to be mindful of. So number one, it was temporary. And number two is we can leave at any time. Okay? We can leave at any time. And that should create in us a sense of almost like restlessness/urgency. Okay? So when the doctor comes in and says, I'm going to be with you in 30 minutes, all right? Then 30 minutes, I can read a book. No one reads books these days. I could go on my phone. I can check social media. I could maybe make a quick phone call. But when the doctor comes in and says, he'll be with you any minute, you're not picking up the phone because you're like, he might walk in right now and I don't want to have to cut off that phone call. So there's a different sense of feeling. And so we should remind ourselves that whenever we're getting too comfortable, when we feel too relaxed in this dunya, then we have to question why. Because we should never feel too relaxed. We should always feel like I need to be working. And that's what's going to lead me to the next point, is that the dunya is the time where we earn. Earn. And this is the only time we can earn. Minus those three things that will, the sadaqah jariyah that will, after we pass away. But other than that, the only time to earn is now. When do we get our paycheck? Right? Not that kind of paycheck, right? No, I'm just kidding. But when do we get, inshallah, when do we get our payday for all of the earnings? In the akhirah, right? The next life, which is permanent, which is our ultimate goal. We want to be in Jannah. Now, here's the thing. We know, and this is mentioned in the Quran, when we get to the akhirah, okay, and inshallah, we're presented Jannah, inshallah, in front of us, and may Allah protect us from even seeing the hellfire. But there are a lot of people that on that day, that's when they're going to be like, oh, okay, now I believe you. All right. But that's part of the test that we have as Muslims is we have to believe, we have to work by trusting Allah. We don't see our Jannah yet. We don't see the houses that we're going to have. We don't see the mansions yet, but we have to trust that it's real. And on the same token, may Allah protect us, but the hellfire is real too. And that's something that we sometimes forget because, we don't want to talk about, we don't want to talk about the negative part. And of course, as adults, we have to be mindful of hellfire is real. And an example that I was giving the other day is that we ever think of a time where we were at extreme pain, all right, maybe one of the few things that gave us relief is knowing that I'm going to get out of this pain eventually. If I go to the hospital, they're going to give me medicine. I'll get out of this pain. But alhamdulillah, for the most part, none of us may potentially have dealt with pain that was just so consistent. We always have a way out. But in the hellfire, it is continuous punishment upon punishment upon punishment, where our skin, astaghfirullah, not our skin, inshallah, may Allah protect all of us and the ones we know and the ones that we love. But those who are in the hellfire, literally your skin is being burnt, and then you are giving a new pair of skin for what? For that punishment to happen all over again. So this is real punishment. And whenever we think of anything, I don't want my child to miss out on this, or I don't want my daughter to look different among her friends, or, I don't want to interrupt him, make him pray because, it's going to, make him lose 5 levels in his whatever video game that he's playing. I don't want him to feel any discomfort. So think of that discomfort. Think of that discomfort. Because the little pain that he felt, he'll get over it, inshallah. Right? But that pain, there's nothing that nobody can do. No one, it's not a day where no one can help you. SubhanAllah. And so these are realities that we have to remind ourselves. Realities that we have to remind ourselves on a regular basis, because that will impact the way you parent. That will impact the way you deal with your children, with your spouse, with your extended family. It will impact the decisions that you make because you have that in the back of your mind. And so you will sacrifice immediate pleasure because there's unlimited pleasure that's waiting for you. And you will sacrifice the crying and the tantrum because there's no tantrum that compares to the tantrum on the day of judgment. And if we don't regularly remind ourselves of that, then what happens? Dunya comes into your face and it makes itself bigger than it is. And it tricks you to making you believe that the more of dunya that you have, the happier you will be. And your neighbor got the newer car. Why didn't your husband get you the newer car? Oh my God, did you see the new shoes and the new bag that she has? Your bag is from Walmart. Okay? And so dunya is going to start coming to your life and making you think that these are the things that you should be occupying your mind with. These are the competitions that you should be consuming. How am I going to make my child the top reader in the class? I want my child to get that award. I want my child to be the top soccer player. That's all great, but that's not the goal in life. You're the top soccer player, but on your way there, you cursed at everybody. You fouled everybody. You had the worst sportsmanship. You just won dunya, but you lost your akhirah. What values are we teaching in our kids? Right? So again, it all has to be centered in what is our ultimate goal? Because we can leave at any time. And when we leave, that's the moment we see the worst of this dunya. And that's also the moment that is too late. And everyone who gets to the akhirah wishes that they did more. They did more what? Working? Is that what? I wish I did that overtime at my job. Is that what people's wishes? I wish I would have prayed those 2 rak'ahs. I wish I would have, man, if I just got up. When we see the reward that the person that woke up to pray tahajjud, what they're getting, we're like, why didn't I ever wake up? Sleep was too good for me. So we have to regularly remind ourselves of that reality. That's what we're working for. And everything is this dunya is a means for us to get that. And what is the currency of the akhirah? Yes, say it louder. Hasanat. Good deeds. And that's important because we're going to get to that in a second. So before we talk about summer, and again, I can just come up and flash, here's some things to do with your kids to keep them busy. The iPad will keep them busy about 5 hours, TV for another 3 hours. Oh, maybe read them a book. Okay? But we have to go back to the root, and that's ultimately what it is. Brother Mamdouh mentioned a few minutes ago about it's not all about the kids, is that we have to and we have to invest in ourselves. You have to invest in yourselves as parents. I just want to give you a quick example, okay? If Emma, I told you that's what happens when you sit here. Right up your neck, okay? And then like it's the front row. But let's say Emma loves coffee, right? Okay. So every morning she like the first thing she does is she makes herself a cup of coffee. And when she's drinking that cup of coffee, she's in the best mood. And when her and her family are out driving around, she always has to stop at a coffee shop. All right. And when she gets home, whenever she's at the store, she's looking for different coffee flavors. Okay. Over time, her children are going to pick up on something. And what is that? Mom loves coffee. Okay? And I can guarantee you, without her once having to say, Yassine, your mom loves coffee. Riyadh, coffee makes me happy, right? She probably would never have to utter the words, I love coffee to her kids, but they will know that she loves coffee, right or wrong. Why? Because she internalized that love and it is so obvious in her actions. She didn't have to tell them. Now, let me give you the opposite example, okay? Emma never drinks coffee at home. She never stops at coffee shop. She never shops for coffee, and we don't even see coffee in her house. There's not even a coffee machine. But every morning when her son Yusuf wakes up, Yusuf, Mama loves coffee. Riyadh, Mama loves coffee. Repeat after me. Mama loves coffee. Mama loves coffee. Okay, what does Mama love? Coffee. The coffee. She's saying it. She's having them repeat it. She's sending them to after-school workshops where they're repeating, Mama loves coffee, Mama loves coffee, Mama loves coffee. They don't see no coffee anywhere in the house. So what was stronger, her words or her actions? Her actions. To the point where she didn't even have to use her words. And so when we talk about filling ourselves up spiritually, when we work on our relationship with Allah, and we make that relationship with Allah so obvious, we don't have to tell our kids. They will see it. When they see their own mother or father every day stopping and opening up a Quran randomly, right? Without him saying, come sit with me, come read. No. He just opens it, he sits on the couch, he opens his Musaf and he reads. And they see that the mom on her way to work or on their way dropping them off, she has the Quran in the background, right? Or they see that when it's time for Salah, their parents stop no matter what they're doing and they pray. All of this without saying and nagging, believe me, the children will pick up on that more than you sending them to a summer school where you're trying to get them to love the deen, or you trying to do all of these activities, what you do in the home. But when they see that dad talks down and watches ESPN or watches the news, or that's what they're going to know Dad values. So our actions speak louder. So it's definitely an investment in ourselves first, because whatever you invest in yourself, the that will translate into action. And that action is going to have a stronger impact on your children than you just simply telling them, say this, repeat this, go to this, 3-hour program where they're going to tell you, but you're not going to see that reflected at home. Does that make sense? All right, so inshallah, may Allah help us be the models for ourselves, but we got to do the work first. We cannot expect our kids to do all the work, right? But we're not. And again, just going back to that example, maybe whenever the family goes to a party, nobody stops to pray. Nobody. The music is blasting and nobody stops to pray, Maghrib or Isha or even Asr, right? Or when we go to, and then all of a sudden, it's summertime and you're telling your kids, it's time to pray. Stop your game and pray. If you stop what you were doing, if your kids saw you at the park and you would stop and you pray, that's going to teach them the value of Salah. But when it's only their entertainment that has to stop, when it's only their fun that has to be interrupted but not yours for Salah, that's when they start thinking of, getting mixed messages. So we have to be the first and foremost role model, and that's not going to happen if we're not regularly reminding ourselves of dunya. And Dunya, here she is here. There's a parent named Dunya, I always think of her. But is that the dunya is temporary nature, and our ultimate goal is the ultimate pleasure, the ultimate joy of Jannah. May Allah make us of amongst them, inshallah, okay? So now, moving on to the next point, I want to remind myself first, and of all of us, of a condition that all of us have, okay? It's a condition called the I want. What is it called?
I want.
All of us have it. All right? It's a little something inside of us that wants things all the time. I want this cup of coffee. I want this water. I want that book, okay? Now, as adults, we hope and assume that our condition of I want is a little bit controlled. But your children, okay, they're young, and their condition of I want is like a burning, like it is on fire, okay? They want so much, take them to the grocery store. What happens when you go to the grocery store with your kids? Every aisle, I want that, I want that, I want that. It's vegetable oil, but I want it, right? Like they want everything. They see it, they want it. You take them to school, go home, so-and-so had this toy, Mama. I want it too. And then the next day, you know, some of you might get them that toy. They come back, Mama, but she had this toy and I want that toy. The I want never stops. And some parents, they're like, you know what? The kid wants something, I'm going to give it to them because maybe if I give it to them, their I want will go away. But then what do they find out happens? They gave them what they want. What happens? They want more. They want more. Okay? The more you give the I want, the more the I want grows and becomes stronger, becomes healthier, becomes fatter. And a lot of parents make that mistake. They think that by feeding the I want, my kids will love me. By feeding giving into my kids I want, they will be happy. By feeding the kids the I want, I will be a good parent. And so they do one of the biggest mistakes of parenting, which is to keep feeding the I want of children. Now, in school, during the school year, how many hours are your kids at home? Let's say they get home around 3:30, 4 o'clock. Their bedtime, what's the average bedtime? 8, 9? Okay. So then they get home 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, let's say maximum 4 or 5 hours, right? Okay. So how many hours a day do you have to deal with your child? Not including the weekend, obviously, right? Or less. Or less, that's true, especially sometimes if they have a longer commute, if they have an earlier bedtime, or if they have any after-school programs, you're literally dealing with them for even less amount of time, again, minus the weekends. So the weekends are busy, whatever it may be, okay? And then your lovely teachers, you know, may Allah bless them and reward them. They're dealing with them the rest of the day. Alhamdulillah, right? Not just one I want, 24 I want, okay? All day long. But here's the thing, in school they have a structure. They have a schedule. They don't get to come to school and say, I want to sit down to your smart start, okay? You have math in 5 minutes. They don't get to just do what they want. There's a schedule, all right? And they still want to do their I wants throughout the day, but it's tamed and controlled. And by the time they get home to you, you only got to deal with them for a few hours. And then come June 2nd, I think, the first, I think, official day of summer, okay? And your kid is in your face the whole day. You're like, whoa, 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 it's not Saturday or Sunday. I'm not going to do this. Okay? You're like, don't worry, send them to school tomorrow. Oh, wait, there is no school tomorrow. Wait, how long is this for? And then you realize that it's 2 full months. 2 full months of this kid being with you all day. So the first thing every parent does is search all of this local summer programs with the summer school. Well, what summer school is being offered? We have a summer school for dogs. I don't care, put them in. Whatever. Right? And it's just like, they are like, I mean, it's just like, they're like, how can I do, like, people are just like hyperventilating. Like, I can't do this. Already on Monday, 2 p.m., and I want to kill him, right? So they're like, how are we going to survive? So the idea is that for you all, let's acknowledge that it's a shock, right? It's a shock of they're gone most of the day. I have to put up with them for a few hours, and we all get to go to sleep. And now from the moment they wake up, I want waffles. I want pancakes. I don't want to eat that. I want to watch this. I want to go here. And you're just like, whoa, 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 whoa. How do we go on without killing each other, right? Without really hurting each other in a way that's not good, okay? Now, of course, there are some parents who love spending time with their kids, and they look forward to those slow mornings. May Allah bless you and protect you from everybody else, okay? And may Allah make us those parents one day, right? May Allah make us those, well, yes, I love when we're home, and inshallah, but really, you know, ربنا هب لنا من ازواجنا وذرياتنا قرة اعين واجعلنا للمتقين اماما. And may Allah make our family the coolness of our eyes. So a lot of this is joke, but we hope that we do enjoy, you know, some of the time that we have, most of the time that we have with our family. Okay? So now that's the first thing, is acknowledge that there is a huge shock. Okay? And one of the things that you should expect is the onslaught of the I want. I want, and not only that, I don't want. And then the funnest one is, but he and but she and the comparison to everybody else, okay? They're going to Europe. Where are we going, right? And it's just, right, or the comparison and what all of our other friends are doing, okay? But here's the thing. When it comes to the condition of the I want, it's hard, all right? But when a child has a very strong condition of I want, which is he is used to, not all the time, but regularly, I want, and the time between, not only does he get the I want, but the time between his request for the I want, it's not usually a request, it's usually a command, but the command for the I want and the time he gets the I want, when that is short, and that is short on a consistent basis, you are raising a monster. And I'm very serious. You are raising a monster. And these parents, للأسف, sadly, they think I'm being a good parent. I am literally giving my kids everything that they want. But you are literally creating a monster who's going to grow. The more his I want is fed instantly, the bigger of a monster he's going to become. To the point where he's around middle, high school age, is going to become such a big monster, you won't know how to handle him anymore. You won't know what to do with them. And those are the parents who take them to an imam or a sheikh or a principal and say, I have no idea what to do with this kid. I do everything. He doesn't listen to me. He doesn't listen to his father. And these are usually people who are well off, right? Or sometimes even if they're not well off, the little money that they have, they spend it feeding the I want, thinking that that's being a good parent. They created a monster that they themselves cannot tame anymore. And how did it all start? By feeding the I want. They want it, they get it. They want it, they get it. So logically speaking, what would be the cure to a child that has a severe dose of I want?
Want or need?
What is it? No, it's a very good point, right? Because if a kid's asking for dinner, you can't be like, no, I'm not feeding you for 1 week. You must kill your I want. No, that's an I need. That's your responsibility. Okay, we're talking about the dessert, not the dinner. But one of the most important things that as parents, we have to remember is our job, right, is to decrease the frequency of the I want being satiated or fed immediately. So there are two types of I want, okay? Let's put them into two categories. There are some things that kids want that are ridiculous, right? Or that have no base, okay? Right? They want, whatever it may be, they want to travel, they want this really expensive toy, they want you to get a new car, your car is embarrassing. So there are some I wants that are ridiculous, okay? But then there are some I wants that are, there's nothing wrong with them. Like the kid wants a new pair of shoes. He wants maybe a new book bag or a new toy, okay? It's not a horrible want. It's not something that's out of the, the scope of normalcy. It's just something that they want. So we're going to focus on those I want, okay? Not the ridiculous I want. So let's say a kid wants something that's realistic, okay? He wants this new toy, all right? So as parents, you have to make a decision. Is this something that they deserve, okay? If it is, I would always suggest give them something they can do to earn it, okay? Give them something to do to earn it. That way, they're associating work comes with I want. When you work, you can get what you want. And let's think about it. As adults, isn't that what happens? When you become an adult and you want things, you're able to get them for yourself because you worked for it. So for children, when you give them, when there is something that they want, give them a reasonable goal. Give them a reasonable, a week of made beds in the morning. Bam, let's go to the store and we'll get your I want. That make sense? But we cannot feed that I want instantly. Whenever an I want is fed instantly, right, that is the definition of, that's how you create that child that now starts craving it. And always think, the I want, the more you feed it, the more it becomes stronger. The more you deprive it, the more you contain it. All right? So the more you feed it, it's going to overpower you. The more you hold off on it, that is how it gets weaker. Now let's go to the deen real quick. SubhanAllah. Our deen is literally filled with regular routines and requirements that basically help us tame the I want. And if we are doing our Islamic requirements consistently, our I want will be tamed almost naturally, okay? Two of the biggest things that as Muslims that we have that tame the I want, what are the two of the biggest ones? And by the way, what's the Islamic term for I want? Shahwa, we have our nafs,
Yeah.
right? Our nafs is the I want. I want. So, what are the two biggest things in our deen that help us tame the nafs? Not a trick question, I promise. Salah is one of them. Salah is huge. Think about it. Every single day, we are taught that there are 5 moments in the day that no matter what you're doing, who you're talking to, what you're busy with, you must stop, move away, and reconnect with Allah. If there's anything that teaches us detachment, it's Salah. So that's one thing, okay? What is another part of our deen that regularly? Oh, brother, you get an extra credit, mashallah. Okay? Yes, okay. Fasting, right? Fasting. And this is like a little litmus test. I'm going to say for like upper elementary and beyond. So if you have like a 4th grader and older, a test for your child, right? Possibly, and even ourselves, and their attachment to the I want is how they behave and function on a day they are fasting. Okay? Watch your child on a day they are fasting. Are they completely different human beings? When you simply deprive them of what? Food and water, right? You take away food and water, and you can't have it until Maghrib time. How are they? Are they completely unable to function? Are they sleeping the entire day? Are they just doing video games or something that will keep their mind off of reality just so they can make it till Maghrib? Because if those are symptoms of your child when they are fasting, that is a sign that they have a huge problem with I want. Because it means the moment you took the I want from them, they can't function as humans. I can't function. Like, it's different than being tired. Everybody gets tired when they fast. But when they're like, if I'm not sleeping, I can't fast. And so they stay up the whole night, and then they sleep the whole day, and we somehow think that's normal. Because remember, you didn't take air away from them. It was just food and water. That's it. And they can't function. They can't, the only way they can function is by, like, again, doing something to kill time or to sleep it up. That is a sign of, we need to work on that a little bit, right? We need to work on that. We want to be able to function even while we're fasting, right? Because, again, the food and the water isn't being taken away from us forever. We're so blessed it's still in the fridge. But these are moments where we're able to kind of see, and that's when you fast regularly. So the sunnah days of fasting, Mondays and Thursdays, or the 3 white days in the middle of the month, Ayyam al-Biyad, the 13th, 14th, and 15th of the Islamic month. And then, of course, when you have, days of Arafah, Muharram, Shawwal, Ramadan, so those well-known dates. But when we fast on a regular basis, it helps us tame the nafs and to tame the I want. So those are really, really important things. But I wanted to bring all of our attention to the I want because I want you to look for it. This summer, you're going to see it all the time, the I want and the I want. It doesn't mean we say no to everything that our kids want. That means we just kind of sort them. Which of their I wants are reasonable? Which of their I wants are not reasonable? All right, here are the reasonable I wants. How can we make a system, or what can we do for you to earn those I want? Make sense? And that takes me to the next point of the summer and making sure we're taking advantage of the summer is having a schedule. Okay? We talked about how when they're in school, there's a schedule. There's something that they're doing every period, so that helps keep them busy. Now, by no means should we turn summer into like a fully structured time for them where they have every minute of the day is planned. No, that's not at all what we want to do. You want them to be able to relax. You want them to have fun. You want them to be able to think. But you also want to put certain things in the day that is structured. Starting first and foremost with Salah. That is number 1. All right? Salah should be the number 1 thing that schedules our day. When we schedule our day, we usually go, all right, when we wake up after breakfast, 10, 11, 12, our time slots should be Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha. Those are. So what are we doing between Fajr and Dhuhr? That's usually when most of the day is happening between Fajr and Dhuhr. Then between Dhuhr and Asr, people are usually kind of slowing down, coming home. And then between Maghrib and Isha, that's winding down. Hopefully people are home, trying to catch up with the family, maybe having dinner, whatever it may be. But those are the first thing that should structure our day. Next, you need to be aware of your child. So everyone here has a student in school right now, right? And so you should know, what are my child's weaknesses? Now I'm talking academically, okay? So let's say they have a deficiency in math, or let's say reading is not their strongest point. Let's say science or social studies, okay? Maybe it was Arabic, maybe it was Quran, maybe it was Islamic studies, but whatever it is, or maybe it was penmanship, right? Handwriting, right? Maybe your child's handwriting, nobody understands it. He doesn't even understand it when he tries to reread it. So there is something that all of our, your kids could potentially use extra work on when it comes to academics. So what you're going to do, okay, by the way, they will have summer assignments like IXL requirements from the school. But in addition to that, okay? I would highly recommend getting a book. You can find them at Sam's or Costco. I got a few offline where I literally put the grade of your child, reading comprehension, 4th grade, handwriting practice, 2nd grade, math practice, 5th grade. So whatever grade your child is in, and I know the ones at Sam's and Costco, they're usually like multiple subjects. So you can get one of those and they have literally all the subjects. You get one of those books, okay? And then I got a few just examples, like this is a 4th grade reading comprehension. So it's just like a passage and then some questions that they answer to check their comprehension. And then like a 1st grade example, which I love because it like includes penmanship, is where they read a very short passage and then they have to answer the questions by writing, and it's also helping them practice their handwriting. So what you have to do is identify the area, and every day, almost every day, I'm not going to say every day, but your kids should know that before you turn on this, do this, whatever it is, there has to be something they need to do to kind of make sure that their mind muscle is not deteriorating, okay? So we just spent 10 months teaching your kids, okay? And think of how rigorous the schedule was, and then they have 2 months off. Think of the brain as a muscle. If that brain takes 2 straight months off, being through a rigorous cycle, what's going to happen? It's gonna get very weak, right? It's not going to come start of next year the same level it ended. And so that brain muscle has to stay stimulated, okay? So whether it's 1 page out of that workbook or 2 pages out of that workbook or 1 math and 1 science, but let them do something daily that stimulates their brain, okay? And regardless of whether this is an area of strength of weakness for them or not, but reading. Have your child read daily, okay? Even if it's a small passage, and preferably a passage that has questions. Because let's be honest, how many of us read nowadays, right? People, like, even, it's so sad, like, our attention span is so weak that even if a video is like more than 5 minutes, we're like, oh, that's too long, right? And imagine that's us as adults. Kids, their attention span is like weakening and becoming less and less, and everything that they watch is just constantly next scene, next move. So their brain is just so used to like constant stimulation that when it comes to reading, their stamina is really bad. When we were doing map testing and STAR testing, like they're just like, this is just too much reading. Like, what number am I on? Like, when is this done? Because their stamina is very weak, okay? And that's not to include if they also have comprehension issues or if they're also struggling to read. That's only going to compound the problem. So I would recommend every day, read, right? Read. Have your child read something, stimulate the brain, and again, preferably answer the question. And don't reinvent the wheel. Just buy a book, take a page out every day, tell them, read this, answer the question. So let's say they have a math worksheet that they have to do every morning. They have to do a reading worksheet every morning, okay? Of course, I think it's the most important stuff because you know that's coming, right? Okay? And that is they have to have a regular routine with the Quran, okay? That is like a must. And don't think of it, think of that as like the blessing, the barakah for your home, for your family, for your children, all right? Is there has to be a regular relationship with the Quran. And they're not able to make a move, leave the house, turn this on until their 2 pages are done, until their 5 minutes are done. But whatever appropriate goal you give them for them daily, that needs to be done. Okay? Now, if you're able to put them in a Quran program or something like that, that's always great. But that should never take away the home life. Like, Quran should be a regular part of the home life, regardless of whether you go to a Quran program or not. It's not, oh, my child's in a Quran program, thank you so much for taking care of that responsibility for me. No. Quran should be a regular part of the home. And I'm not saying it has to be a full-out 1-hour session. I remember when we were younger, it was every summer we had to read 2 pages, which was really hard back then. But 2 pages. You just read your 2 pages, and I remember, like, we had to read it to my mom. So it wasn't like I can go to my room, I finished! Right, it didn't work like that. Every one of us had to sit with her, and we would have to read our 2 pages. And she would listen to us, she would correct us. When those 2 pages were done, you are free. But until those 2 pages are done, you're not free, okay? And that subhanAllah built a relationship with the Quran. I just remember this really funny story. Like, I remember I was reading, it was from Surah Al-Baqarah. This is when I was really young. And I was reading a verse, and I was struggling through it. And then when I got to the end, a word sounded familiar. And I was like, why do I know that? I had to go see. But wait, I know I had to I should have flown through that. But because I did it, you memorize things and you don't know how to read it. I was so mad. I'm like, those 3 minutes, I could have done it so quickly. But again, you memorize something and sometimes you don't even know how to read it when it's in the mushaf. But read. And just guys, think of the bonding. Think of the love. Think of that, let them sit in your lap. Because let's be honest, we don't take time to hug our kids anymore. It's really, really sad. We're just like, go, go, go. But imagine if the Quran time was the time, Yallah, whoever it is, Yallah Taj, come sit next to me, Habibi, read this to me. You have your arm around him, maybe just stroking their hair, showing them some love and affection, not being in a rush, because we're always in a rush, always. Everything is a rush. From the moment we wake up, we're always rushing to school, rush. Sit and let that be your bonding time. And let's say there's a word that in those pages that they write. What does that word mean? Right? So use that time to make connections with our kids. But a home without Quran is a home that's missing a blessing. A home devoid of Quran is a home devoid of blessing. So when you find that you and your spouse are constantly, everything, you're fighting. Everything is an argument. You and your kids can never see eye to eye. Check the Quran. You know how they say check the AC? Check the Quran. And if you're like, well, we're reading Quran every day, check the quality. Are we actually sitting and spending quality time? Because I guarantee when we have regular quality time with the Quran, that's regular quality visitation from the angels to your home. And who wouldn't want that? Right? So when we regularly invite the angels into our home, inshallah, that will be a source of extreme barakah. How much time do I have left? Okay, it's the last one of the year, so we have until August. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so I want to retrack a little bit. The first thing we talked about was what? Reframing our perspective. We have to know what our job here is. We have to know that we're not here forever and that our ultimate goal is in Jannah. That's where we want to go. But we have to do the work now to earn that Jannah. Jannah is not for free. We have to do the work now. And we have to remember that we can leave here at any moment. Our children can leave here at any moment. That is all up to Allah. And that is something that we have to prepare for. How do we prepare for that? By investing in them and doing as many good deeds as we possibly can. Then we moved on to this idea of when we invest in ourselves and it reflects in our actions, that will be a stronger teacher for our children than us just telling them. Then we moved on to the condition of the I want, okay? And how you should be ready for it. Is that once the summer starts, you're going to see the I want all over the place, okay? Don't let them drive you crazy, right? Don't let them make you, but you need to differentiate the I want, we said, between the two categories. One of them is like ridiculous. Like these are I wants that we're not going to be able to do, but then there might be some I wants that are reasonable. So the reasonable I wants, you use them as a superpower, right? So if you want this, beautiful. And then you set reasonable goals for them. That reasonable goal can be when you get your math worksheet done every morning, when you get your reading comprehension done for a whole week. You do your reading comprehension by yourself without me having to remind you, and you do it well. Saturday, we're going to get you whatever your I want is. There's nothing wrong with that, right? They're going to start asking you, and if you do this over time, by the way, when kids want something, they'll start asking you, what can I do to get it? And isn't that so much better than I just want it and you're expected to get it for me? Mm-hmm. Okay, so the I wants that are reasonable, we want to go to Busch Gardens. Oh, Busch Gardens cost money. Okay, way you earn that is by this, whatever it may be. So academics is very important, and then we mentioned the Quran. There has to be a regular dose of Quran. Whether they're listening to Quran, I highly recommend all of you ask for, at least in elementary, you need to know that surahs your child learned this year, and they need to be reviewing those. Because sometimes the kids will be like, oh, I don't know. I didn't bring my mushaf. I thought I did. I don't know what surah. Well, I highly, highly recommend, we talked about this a little bit in our Ramadan session. Okay, so ideally, every child should have their own mushaf. Can we agree on that? Yeah. Can our home budget afford that? Because we afford other things. They all have their own iPads, kind of a lot. But that's where we can't, right? So make sure every child has their own mushaf. Please do this. Every child, we take them at the end of the school year and go, what are the surahs that you learned this year? He's going to open up the mushaf and he says, we learned Surah Al-Nazi'at. So you're going to go to the mushaf and you're going to find Surah Al-Nazi'at. What's it mean? I passed it. Surah Al-Nazi'at. Here's Surah Al-Nazi'at. So what are we going to do? We're going to put a tab. You get colorful, cute tabs, okay? We're going to put a tab on Surah Al-Nazi'at. What's another surah that you learned this year? We also learned Surah Al-Naba. Oh, perfect. Here's Surah Al-Naba. I'm going to put another tab. Okay, we also learned, Surah Nur. Oh, perfect. Surah Nur. And put a what? A tab. And each tab represents what? A surah that your child knows. So that when they're getting the mushaf, it's not overwhelming 600 pages. I don't know. No. Don't worry about what you don't know. Review the ones that you do know. And look, do you have to be around for them to find that page? No, because you tabbed it for them. So you open up the tab and they read it. And then you can it could be muraja'a, like you're reviewing just reciting it. Then it can be, you're going to review the memorization of that, right? Or it could be, now you read it, memorize it. I don't have it with me, but we should also have the English translation. Now start reading the English. But there needs to be a regular dose. Now, for those that are younger, even if it's just a 5-minute timer, but you need to spend those 5 minutes with the Quran. But as they get older, the goal should be more appropriate, proportionate to how much time they spend doing other stuff. So when they're in soccer for 3 hours and they're doing, they're with their friends for 4 hours, but they can't spend more than 10. So you don't. You want to go out with your friends? Beautiful. Pay for it with your Quran recitation. Pay for it with your time with the Quran. But if you do not want to do your Quran and I have to fight with you every day, then please don't ask me if you can go to your friend's house. And you stay firm on it, right? You stay firm. Because a lot of times when a kid throws a tantrum, some parents, they get uncomfortable, they don't like it, so they just give in. And that's the worst thing you can do. Like you literally just you had the spatula in your hand, but when you give in to those tantrums, you just gave it to the I want. Now he's beating you. Because he's like, I'll be back every day taming you with what I want. And I'm going to throw a tantrum when you don't give it to me. So that's something to be careful of. So get all the students that they learn, and you're going to tab it. And let each kid have their own mushaf. Like, let them have pride that this is my mushaf, this is mine. And then when you ever have Quran time, you have it. Can I throw in one more tip that I highly, highly recommend? Daily, if possible, as a family, it shouldn't take more than 5 minutes. Surat al-Mulk. Please, please, please. If you can make Surat al-Mulk a regular habit in your family, okay? And if your children don't know it, then start off by just picking any qari, any reciter, put on YouTube Surat al-Mulk, pick whichever reciter, or on your phone, some apps have the recitation, and just listen to Surat al-Mulk. And this, during this time, everyone's sitting, everyone has their own mushaf, everyone's open to Surat al-Mulk, and he's reciting, everyone's following along. I guarantee you after 2 weeks, especially the younger your kids are, they will start memorizing it just by listening to it on a consistent basis, and then they're going to start saying it. Eventually to where you don't need the qari anymore, either dad's reciting it or mom's reciting it, and the whole family is reciting it. But for every child, every member of your home, to make Surat al-Mulk a regular part of their daily routine. I'm going to quickly tell you this why, even though I mentioned it before in a previous parent session, but Surat al-Mulk is going to be a protection for us in the grave. And I think that we sometimes, we don't understand how scary the grave is, or can be, all right, for people who don't prioritize Allah. And we mentioned death earlier, that when we leave this earth, khalas, there's nothing that anyone can do. No matter how much you love that person, they're gone, they're on their own. But for someone who made Surat al-Mulk and Quran in general a regular part of their life, imagine that surah personifies, those good deeds personify themselves, and they come and keep you or your children company in the grave. And they take care of them. And they make them happy in a time that other people are suffering, right? Like imagine the comfort that, I just lost a loved one, but I know that they read Surat al-Mulk every day. And that's what makes me okay, is I know that that's going to protect them in the grave. Just imagine having that peace of mind. And so if you can train your child to make Surat al-Mulk a part of their regular routine, that's a huge sadaqah jariyah for you and for your children. So please add that to the daily review, is Surat al-Mulk as a family. And I just thought of this. I started off by saying the qari, but let the father or the mother be the ones reading it. Let them hear their parents read Quran, right? And even if your recitation, if your recitation is not perfect or not very good, then I would say listen to the qari. But if you have decent recitation, be the qari, right? Be the qari for your family and lead your family in that way. And wallahi, the time that you spend doing that, you will see it. You will see it come in your wealth, in your income, in your relationship with your family. And whatever you think is so important that I don't have time to do that, believe me, that's just increasing the stress and whatever it is that you think the problems in your life. So may Allah make the Quran a source of joy for all of us and a means of bringing our families together. There's 2 more points, and I'm going to try to let you go, okay? My hostage people are outside, so no one's allowed out, okay? There is a point that I think is worth mentioning for self-reflection, okay? When we were talking about the I want, something that we typically see with parents, right, is when the child is having a I want, let's call it a I want tantrum, okay? they want something, so you just made eggs for breakfast, but I want pancakes. Okay? All right? Now, you say, I made eggs, maybe we can make pancakes on another day, but today we're gonna have eggs. Okay? And then they start throwing a tantrum. They start yelling, they start screaming. Okay? Now, is that normal behavior of someone who is still very fresh with I want? Absolutely. Absolutely. That is very normal behavior. I'm going to say that again. For someone new to life, who still, their I want, everyone is born with an I want that is not tamed. Okay? Everyone is born with an I want that is not tamed. You tame it over time through salah, through everything that Islam teaches us, right? And through discipline. So a child who says I want something and doesn't get it, and they start throwing a tantrum, is that normal?
Yeah.
To an extent, it is. Certain tantrums are not normal. Okay, I've seen tantrums that are not normal. But like for them to be sad, for them to cry, okay, that's somewhat normal, okay? And in that moment, the parent has two choices, okay? She can comfort the child. I know you love pancakes, so we'll make pancakes tomorrow, okay? Comfort, give them a hug, okay? Or the parent can give in and give in, okay? Now, we already talked about the dangers of constantly giving in. You're raising a monster. And the sad thing is, even when you raise a monster, you will love them no matter what, but the world won't. So 10 years into your monster child, you still love him. You still love her, but the world can't deal with them. And they're not going to, right? So that's something to keep in mind. But I want us to reflect on why. Why do parents sometimes give in? They're in the grocery store, they're at the park, they're at home, and sometimes they just give in. Okay, let's be realistic. This is a no-judge zone. But what are some realistic reasons that parents will give in to the I want? They're tired. Like, this is the last thing I need to deal with right now. Like, making pancakes or whatever it is going to be a lot easier than dealing with this. What's another one? Embarrassed. Embarrassed. Thank you for mentioning that, because that's a reality. Especially when you're out in public, that's, sometimes you're like, this is not the time. So that's realistic. Dunya, you had your hand up? So they can just be, oh, thank you. So they can be quiet. So for your own mental sanity, okay? Any other reasons you guys want to share? So quiet, so they can be quiet. So it's embarrassing. Sometimes, yes.
I think in the moment make them happy, but in the long run, they're complaining.
So like, you just don't like seeing them that way. It hurts. It hurts seeing them sad, okay? So you feel like, oh, that, and that's legitimate, right? Especially if some of those fireworks or the crying works, man, they get you. They make you feel like you're really a bad mom or a bad dad. But right, so you feel bad in the moment. These are all very valid. Anything else?
Mom guilt.
Mom guilt, right? Mom guilt is very real. I'm sure dad guilt is real, but not as real. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Okay? So these are all very valid reasons. Now, if I'm tired and for the first time this week I'm giving in, can we give ourselves grace? Yes. If we're out in public and I'm embarrassed, can I give myself grace? Absolutely. But if I'm tired, not that I'm embarrassed, because that doesn't happen all the time, but let's say the I'm tired or the mom guilt, okay, can that be every day? Because if it's happening every day, then we need to stop and reflect. Because we have to realize that we are born in a culture, and we could go on forever, but we're not. But we also have to remember we're raised in a culture that promotes I want. So that's also why our job is harder, because they're taught everything is we want it, you get it. And we're guilty too. When we want something, we pick the 1-day shipping over the 2-day shipping. So all of us are guilty, okay? But we tame it, right? Like hopefully as adults, we're able to tame that I want desire. But for kids, they don't have that ability. We're supposed to guide them through it. Well, sometimes we have to reflect. Okay, the peace and quiet, I'm going to build on that one. The peace and the quiet and the leaving me alone and the I like my mental, clarity. All of us need that and all of us deserve that. And we should make sure that we are regularly getting time to where we are alone or able to recoup and recharge ourselves to do it all again next week, right? Okay? It's not normal, and it shouldn't be an expectation that a certain spouse, usually the mom, not always, it's sometimes the dad as well, are just supposed to constantly go with 0 breaks, right? But here's the reality. Life nowadays has almost made everybody get to that point where everybody is working, right? Usually it would be back in the day, there were, it was kind of common for just the dad to work and at least one parent was home to raise the kids and kind of take that on. But now we see the scenario where in a lot of situations, both mom and dad are working. And so when they come home, they are exhausted, right? They're tired. The kids are tired. Everybody is tired. And so everybody's fuse is so short, okay? But there are people that don't work, let's say like they're one of the parents, don't work, but our society has programmed us to want that quiet and peace all the time. Not at certain times of the day, certain times of the week to recharge, which is normal. They have programmed us to believe that peace, quiet, mental clarity is supposed to be there all the time. And anything that gets in the way of that, set it up. And that's where the danger is, right? Because when you came up, when we... You really be quiet? SubhanAllah. But we've been programmed to expect that all the time. My car ride, my having my coffee, having my lunch, all of it needs to be peace and quiet, and anything that's getting in the way of the peace and quiet, get rid of it. I'm sorry, but once you signed up to have kids, yeah, that's not how life is. They're your responsibility. They make noise. They require attention. They need you. That is their nature. And it's not normal for us to always want peace and quiet. I never want my kids to fight. I never want to hear you screaming. So what happened is society has been little by little making us think, your inner peace, right? That's more important. And so they've made us start to believe that our own kids are toxic for us. That our own kids are the reason for our depression and our anxiety. As opposed to us realizing that we were built for this, and it is our responsibility. I'm an adult with kids, not a 16-year-old who's looking for mental clarity, right? I'm an adult, and I need to know that there's a time to work, there's a time to raise kids, there's a time I need to delegate between fights, but then there's a time to rest. But the time to rest is not my full day schedule. And so what's happening is some parents will do anything to constantly be in that sense of, I'm quiet, I'm not bothered, no one's touching me, no one's talking to me, no one's fighting me. And so what has that created? The whole iPad generation, the digital attachment. Now, we're all agreed, all of us grew up on TV, okay? We didn't have these little gadgets probably growing up, but it's normal to have a little dose of TV or time, right? Of course, monitor what they're watching. That's normal. No one's saying that, if you can do that, that's amazing. You're going to award with that first parent who talked about love spending time with her family, right? Both of them get an award. But I think every once in a while, we know, like watching that one clean show or whatever it is, it's normal, right? Watching a movie as a family, okay, but this idea that because I can't stand noise, I can't stand when my kids fight, like, wait, mom, that's your job, to teach them the skills. Problem solve, talk to him, reply. They have made us hate all of that. And so what we constantly crave is that quiet and that peace. And so what will we do in the name of self-care, in the name of my mental sanity? We overuse and over-abuse these tools to keep them quiet in a way. And so it's 9 a.m. You just finished breakfast. I'm already annoyed by all this noise. I used to have a whole year. This is my walking time. And now iPad, TV. Why? And we have to be honest with ourselves. In that moment, is that really the best thing that they need? Or am I topping out and I'm giving in for my personal benefit, but in the end, they're going to suffer because of the brain damage, because of all of the things that's going to happen to them, because I just don't want to deal with it. I just don't want to deal with the noise. I just don't want to be uncomfortable. And that's a responsibility that we're going to be asked about on the day of judgment. There are people who wish they had children, people who struggle for years to have kids. There are people who are losing their kids. And Allah blessed you with healthy, beautiful children, and He blessed you with the ability to provide for them in ways that majority of people on this earth cannot provide for their children. And what do you do with them when you have them? What do you do when you have them? Fill their brain with trash? Detach them from Allah? Make influencers more important to them than the Prophet? So this is what's the prize for not choosing us to be in a third world country where they have to fight for food every day? How did we thank Allah for not being in that situation? By doing anything we can to get rid of them. Anything we can so that they don't bother me. Me, the I want. I want peace. I want quiet. That is something to think about. There is a time and place for peace, mental clarity, and self-care. But we have to admit that there are certain seasons of life where that is not the priority of our life. And if you have children, and young and even old, they require your time, your attention, and your guidance. And when we don't provide that, we better be very ready with a really good excuse when we stand in front of Allah. I blessed you not only with children, they were healthy. Go spend a day with someone who has a child with special needs so you can appreciate that blessing. So number one, they were healthy. Number two, you were not short of financial. Okay? You were able to send them to a beautiful private school. You were able to a community where all of this is around you. Safety. You don't have to worry about bombs being dropped on you. We don't have to wake up wondering if we're going to be stopped on the way to school or if our family's going to be annihilated overnight. We have all of the comfort, but we still can't wake our kids up for Fajr because he didn't get his 8 hours of sleep. Or we can't make Quran a part of this home because we're too busy with extracurricular activities. This is how we thank Allah for not putting us in the situation that they're in. Is that I'll take your blessings, Yara, but please don't expect from me. That is something we really have to reflect on this summer. Is when we think of all the blessings that we have, and how are we thanking Allah for those blessings? And the number one way to thank Allah is to use His blessings in a way that is pleasing to Him. Allah gave you a spouse, honor and respect yourself, even if it's not always reciprocated, but communicate that I need you to do A, B, and C. Respect the spouse, respect your parents, honor them. You have kids, honor them. You have siblings, honor them. Whatever Allah has blessed you with, honor it and use it to please Allah. Use it to show Him that I'm so grateful that you did not make me from the other percentage of the world that don't have most of the blessings that I have. And so, yes, there is a time for self-care. There is a time for making sure that we're recharging ourselves, but don't let this dunya or let society, Western society, fool you into thinking self-care is a 24-hour job. It's not. Because as Muslims, we know that the more we fulfill our responsibility to Allah, He will take care of you. You don't need to go do a 3-hour massage. Allah will take care of you because you took care of your responsibilities to Him. You made Quran a priority in your home. Watch Allah take care of you. Watch it. The more you take care of Allah, what Allah wants from you, He will provide you with that care. But the more you put what Allah requires of us on the side, because I need to do me, I need to take care of me, I can't handle these kids, then you're going to notice the stress and the anxiety is constantly there. So I ask Allah to help myself first and each and every one of us to realign our priorities, to truly take note, maybe on a drive home, hopefully you're alone because your kids are still in school, to be like, God, what are my blessings? What do I not have to struggle with? And to make sure that, Ya Rab, let me love spending time with my family and to take the tantrums, to take the arguments, to take those conversations as opportunities to connect with my kids. Opportunities to connect. Think of a fight that your siblings or your children are having. It's an opportunity to connect with them, to talk with them. Let's not try to avoid any noise from our kids. Kids were made to make noise. They were made to want your time. They were made to want to show you their picture. They were made to want to take a walk with you. So do that stuff. And whatever it is that's taking you away from wanting to spend time here with your kids, evaluate how important is this? And is whatever this is going to stand for me on the day of judgment? Because if not, go spend time with your kids. And thank Allah that He blessed you with them. Alhamdulillah. May Allah protect each and every one of your kids. And now the last thing I'm going to mention, I said two, that was one, and this is the last thing before I let you guys go, inshallah. I saved the best for last is I want to make sure each and every one of us in this room are fully aware of these extremely, extremely important and special days that are coming up starting next week. Okay, and I always, I'll give this like silly example that I gave before, not here I think, but like there's these twin sisters, okay, and they're pretty much identical, but one of the sisters, she is just like the ideal, like she's just everything, she's beautiful, she's on the soccer team, she's on the basketball team, she gets straight A's, she's also like in the Quran program, like she's just the ideal, and she's super popular. Everybody loves her, and everyone wants to be her friend, everyone wants to spend time with her. She walks into a room, everybody wants to be with her, okay? Now, her twin sister is just as good as her. She's just as beautiful, she's just as talented, but she's not that popular. She does not get anywhere near the amount of attention that her sister gets. She walks into the room, nobody even notices her, right? She walks, sits at lunch, nobody cares to sit with her. But her sister gets all of the attention. You want to know their name? The first sister, her name is Ramadan. Okay? Ramadan gets all the attention, right? And I was even joking, you know that song for kids where they sing the months, Muharram Safar, Rabi'a al-Awwal, Rabi'a al-Thani, these are the months of Islam, Jum'at al-Awwal, Jum'at al-Thani, Rajab and Sha'ban, Ramadan. I was like, see, she gets her name 3 times. That's three times in the song. That's how popular she is. But for good reason, right? We all know that Ramadan is obviously the greatest month of the year. But Ramadan, you just mention, or even non-Muslims, oh, Ramadan, right? They all know, like, I love Ramadan, right? So Ramadan is like super popular. But there's an extremely twin sister. What's her name? The Hijjah. Her name's the Hijjah. Okay, right, yeah. So the Hijjah, like, nobody knows what the Hijjah is. But like, who's the Hijjah? Okay? So the Hijjah is the last month of the Islamic year, okay? It's the last month of the Islamic year, and it's also one of the 4 sacred months. Okay, what was the first thing about the Hijjah? It's the last month of the Islamic year. The second thing we want to know about the Hijjah? Thank you, other than Ramadan, the brother in the front. Okay? All right? It's one of the 4 sacred months. The third thing that we also want to remember is the season of Hajj. You can only do Hajj in the Hijjah, okay? You can't be like, oh, it's winter. Let me go do my Hajj now, huh? Right? No, it can only be done during may Allah grant all of you Hajj, inshallah, within the next year. So it's the last month of the Islamic year. It's one of the 4 sacred months, and it is the month in which Hajj is, performed Hajj. And truly, guys, if you have not performed Hajj yet, make sincere dua to Allah to give you the means and the ability to do it very, very soon, within a few years, inshallah. And may Allah allow all of us, inshallah, to be Hajjis within 5 years. Like, that's it. Like, oh, we're all, I've been to Hajj, now I just do Umrah, for regular checkups and stuff like that. But inshallah, may Allah send each and every one of you to Hajj. Okay? So Dhul Hijjah. So there is a hadith, and I'm going to read it to you. Because it's very important for us to know. So there is, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, there are no days greater in the sight of Allah than the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. So increase them in your tahleel, your takbir, and your tahmeed. Okay? I want to break this down a little bit. Okay? The Prophet ﷺ is telling us that there are 10 days where good deeds are more beloved to Allah than any other days of the year. This is something very, very important. What did we say at the beginning was the currency of this life?
Hasanat.
Hasanat, good deeds, right? So that's the currency of the dunya. There are 10 days out of the entire year that Allah loves those good deeds more than any other day. Just 10 days. If anyone claims to love Allah, okay, and you find out that there are 10 specific days where good deeds on those days, Allah loves them the most, what would your number 1 reaction be? I can't hear you.
You're gonna do the most.
So you're not gonna do Allah, you and Brother Fadl? No. Okay? No. Anybody but you two. Come on, guys. I promise it's not a trick question. If you know that Allah, you two sort of, I'm just thinking, you're not allowed to answer either. How do you know better? I want people in the back. I'm gonna repeat the question. It's not that hard. If someone claims to love Allah, and then you would hear that, the 10 days of the Hijjah are when Allah loves good deeds the most, what would that person think? Thank you. It's not that hard. It's do as many good deeds as you can. Like, this is the time to go overboard in good deeds. So the Dhul Hijjah starts either next Wednesday or next Thursday. Okay? So it's either Wednesday or Thursday. Let's assume it's Wednesday. Okay? So that means starting from next Wednesday, for 10 days, we need to treat those days extra special. By doing what? Increasing in the amount of good deeds that we do. And when I'm talking to you, family affair, increase the amount of good deeds. For the brothers, right? If you are able to take your boy, and for you, encourage the husband, if they're able to take them to the masjid for Masalan Fajr, or Aisha, or now it's summertime, for Salah, try to do that, right? Making Salah a priority in those 10 days. And it's funny because, a lot of people say, before you think of all the good deeds to do, start with the fun. Get your Salah on time. So before we do all the extra stuff, make sure that Salah is on time. But we have to understand that starting next Wednesday and Thursday, those are not regular Wednesdays, those are not regular Thursdays, right? We need to treat those days like they're extra special. Now, we obviously know that Wednesday and Thursday, Friday is still the last days of school. For those of you who have older kids, they have exams, right? But starting Saturday, they're free. They're free to go. And so we want to make sure that we're filling those days with good deeds because these days are extremely valuable, okay? And I want to give special attention to the 9th day of Dhul Hijjah, which will either be the following Thursday or the following Friday. Whenever we find out the start of Dhul Hijjah, we're able to know when is Arafah and when is Eid. But the 9th day of Dhul Hijjah is the day of Arafah, okay? And this is a day that if you couldn't take off, let's say, or you couldn't free up your time on all the other days of Dhul Hijjah, the 9th day is the day where you want to really try to set some time specifically between like Dhuhr and Maghrib, right? Asr, Maghrib, Dhuhr, and Maghrib. If you can block off that time, and mom, my suggestion was if there was one day you were going to do takeout, if there was one day that you were going to just order out and not have to be in the kitchen, let it be the day of Arafah. Because that time, especially the last hour before Maghrib, on the day of Arafah, you want to be immersed in dua. And actually the ibadah of the day of Arafah is dua, right? And even scholars have said, as much as Salah and Quran and all of those, these are beautiful and important, dua on the day of Arafah. All right, so make sure that you are preparing yourself at least 2 hours where you are in dua. And I wish we had a separate session, but talk about dua, because sometimes people say, well, dua, I don't know what to say after 5 minutes, I don't know what to do. But the idea is sit with Allah, reflect on the year, thank Him for all the blessings He's given you, thank Him for all that He has done for you, and then ask Him. Allah loves it when we ask. He loves it when we ask. Ask Him for what you want. Ask Him for what each of your child needs. Ask Him to help your marriage, to support your marriage, to strengthen your family, to get a bigger house, to help them, help pay them, whatever it is. Ask Allah. Well, the day of Arafah, okay, if we are not taking that day to truly ask Allah for our needs and our wants, I really beg the question, what are you doing that's more important? It's really, really important. And so, inshallah, I wish I could spend more time fasting on the day of Arafah. Try to fast that day. If you can fast on the 10 days of the Hijjah, then that would be ideal. Obviously, the first 9, the 10th day is Eid, and we don't fast on Eid. But if you're able to fast, praying on time, to give charity, visiting the masjid, connecting with family, getting your children to connect with family. Yes, teach them how to call the aunt, call the uncle. Let them learn how to connect and keep family ties to make sure that we're doing this. But these 10 days, they are very special, and we don't want them to go by. So please do not let these 10 days go by, except that you are engaging in as many good deeds. And again, Quran, Salah on time, and Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, because those are specifically mentioned in the hadith. Try to praise Allah as much as possible. I would keep you forever, but I don't want to do that to you, okay? So we're going to recap one last time. Is that, inshallah, you guys are ready. You are so excited, for the summer to come. You, inshallah, are going to have a schedule for your kids. You're going to have workbooks ready for them to work on. You're going to have Quran schedule, or you're going to sit with each child and tab their mushaf, and so that they have their own mushaf and know what surahs they learn. You're going to be ready to spend quality time with them. You are not going to fall into that, no, I want peace and quiet all the time. No, you're going to see noise in a mess and dishes in the sink as a blessing from Allah, because I have kids that are making that mess. And remember that kids were not born to be clean, sit in their spot, and do all. They are taught that over time, inshallah. So make a schedule for them, spend quality time with them, read Surah Al-Mulk as a family every night. And next Wednesday or Thursday is the start of Dhul Hijjah. So please mark in your calendar, remind a friend, those days we need to fill with as much good deeds as possible for you and your family, because they're extremely heavy in the sight of Allah. And on the 9th day of Dhul Hijjah, which is the day of Arafah, everyone in the family should have the intention to fast, including the kids. Try to tell them to fast, and then in the last few hours of that day, engage in as much dua as you possibly can. And then, of course, on Eid, celebrate. If you can do a tiyah, that would be excellent as well. And may Allah accept all of our deeds, all of our fasts, all of our efforts. You guys are doing amazing. I just want you guys to know parenting is not an easy job in 2025 in America. And you guys are doing a fantastic job. May Allah accept all of your efforts and accept all that you do to help your children have the life that they have, and to be in a school where they're reminded of Allah on a regular basis. So pat yourself on the back, and remember, whenever you need something, whenever you have a desire, Allah is always there. Allah is always there for you. So don't shy away from calling out to Him, from asking Him. talking to him while you're driving. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hears us, He loves us, and our ultimate goal is to be with Him in Jannah. That's the ultimate goal. At the end of the day, it's all about Jannah. May Allah make us and our families for the people of Jannah. I'll end with a dua, inshallah, and then I'll let you go. I do want to apologize. I usually do little raffles. I just did not have time. I didn't have time to put a slideshow together. So I apologize. I feel so sad. I would have, so next time, bismillah, I'll have double the treats or something for you guys. Inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair. بسم الله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد يا الله لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين يا رب you are Rahman, you are Alim, you are Kareem, you are Razzaq, and Ya Allah, you know that every parent that is in this room came here today because they love you and they desire a close relationship with you and they want their children to grow up and become righteous Muslims. I ask you, Allah, to bless each and every one of our families here at UAF and in the Ummah at large, with children who love you, with children who grow up obedient to you and obedient to their parents, with children who have a love for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for children, Ya Allah, who tame their nafs and do not fall into every trick of shaitan. Ya Allah, help us raise a generation that will embody the Quran, who will live the Quran, who will read the Quran out of love, and who will live it, who will live the Quran, and protect us from a generation that memorizes the words but has no idea what they are saying. Ya Allah, allow the Quran to be a source of extreme comfort, joy, and barakah and blessing in our home. Allow us to not have a day where the Quran is not recited in our home. Ya Allah, help mom and dad in every household prioritize the understanding, the relationship with the Quran on a daily basis, for it to be what brings the family together, and for it to be what softens the heart, and for it to be what solves the problems that everybody deals with on a daily basis. Ya Allah, allow us to make salah a priority every single day of our life. Allow us to build our day around salah and for our children to build their day around salah. Ya Rabbi, allow us to increase the level of concentration that we have in salah and for salah to be a source of peace and transformation for us and our families. Ya Allah, I ask you to bless the time that we have with our kids and our families, for us to love spending time with them, for them to be a qurrat ayn for us, and for us to see their troubles as an opportunity for us to connect with them. And let us always remember that they are a blessing even on the hardest day, and for us to thank you for the gifts that you have given us. Ya Rabbil Alameen. Ya Allah, the beautiful days of Dhul Hijjah are upon us. I ask you to allow each and every one of us to reach it, and for each and every one of us to magnify its importance in our heart, and for each and every one of us to maximize the amount of good deeds that we do on this day. And Ya Rab, help us instill in our children the importance of the days of Dhul Hijjah, and for us to inspire them to do as many good deeds as they can, and for all of us to be able to fast on the day of Arafah. Ya Allah, for any person in this room or on Zoom that has not performed Hajj yet, I ask you to bless them with the financial means, the physical means, to be able to perform Hajj within 5 years. Ya Rab, do not let us delay the going to Hajj, and for it to be a priority for all of us. And for those who may have already gone to Hajj, bless them with a trip to Umrah very, very soon. Ya Rab, help us connect with you on a regular basis. Help us dream and fantasize about Jannah. For us to remember that our life here is so temporary, and that our ultimate goal is to be with you in the highest levels of Jannah with the prophets and the companions, Ya Rabbil Alameen. I ask you to allow each and every one of us to die with La ilaha illallah on our tongue and in our heart, for us to be protected from the punishment of the grave. Ya Allah, for us to rise on the day of judgment with our book of deeds in our right hand, and for us to receive the intercession of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as well as the intercession of the Quran and the intercession, Ya Rab, of fasting. Ya Rab, on the day where the sun will be 1 mile above us, I ask you to make us from those who are protected under your shade. On the day there is no shade except your shade. Ya Rab, all of us desire to be accepted in the highest levels of Jannah, Jannat al-Firdaus al-A'la, Ya Rabbil Alameen. As we sit here in comfort and joy and air condition, I ask you, Ya Allah, to please help those who are suffering all around the world. I ask you to remove the oppression, Ya Allah, to feed those who are hungry, to give water to those who are thirsty, and to destroy the oppressors in this life and the next. Ya Rabbi, and for the Muslims to stand together, to hold on to their deen, and for us to give victory to the world through La ilaha illallah. وصلى اللهم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. جزاكم الله خيرا. I finished before 10, so I think that counts for something, inshallah. Have a beautiful summer, a beautiful rest of your year, and a beautiful day of Dhul Hijjah. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you.
Okay, I know we kept you long, so you can be on your way. We want to thank Sisters Daha. Just have a minute. And it seems like, subhanAllah, like, it's a spiritual doctor, a healer, right? Makes you laugh, makes you self-reflect, cry, and bring you back and give you an action item. Everybody's leaving today is leaving with something on their mind to do. And that's what I love about these speeches, alhamdulillah. So hopefully, inshallah, we have a beautiful Eid coming ahead, Dhul Hijjah, and summer, and we'll see you next year, inshallah.
Yeah, but I'm like.